These are the frequently asked questions for Algebra 2 for Section 8-6, Day 1. I'm going to start with number 11 up here. And so number 11 has 3x minus 2 over 12 minus 1/6 equals 1/6. And the space here is to figure out what the LCD is and then to multiply everything by that LCD. And in this case, all we have for our denominators is 6 and 12. So we realized our denominator, least common denominator, is going to be 12. So really we're just multiplying all of our fractions here by 12. These 12s will drop out and we will get 3x minus 2. This 6 and this 12 will reduce to 2, so that'll be minus 2. And then this 6 and this 12 will reduce to 2. So we have 3x minus 4 equals 2. By simplifying, we would add 4 to both sides, and then we would divide by 3. And we would get x equals 2. It did say to check the solution, so we'd have 3 times 2 is 6. 6 minus 12 is 4. So 4/12, well, if we need to reduce that to 6 to get a common denominator here, that's going to be 2/6. So 2/6 minus 1/6 is 1/6, and this does check out. It works for us. So that's number 11, kind of a basic one there. And then 18, getting a little tougher, a little more complicated. So focus on those denominators and find your LCD. LCD is going to be 4 and an x. And so each one of these terms we need to multiply by 4x to get rid of our denominators. Here, they're going to drop out and we'll get a 1. Here the 4's will drop out and we'll get minus 3x. And in this one the x's will drop out and we will get 28. So we'd subtract 1 from both sides and negative 3x would equal 27. We would divide by negative 3 and we would get negative 9 for our solution. Again, you could put that back up here and check it, but chances are pretty good that you're not watching these videos because you checked wrong. Usually it's because you made a mistake somewhere in the math. Then, number 30. These are our literal equations, and this is a skill we do not want to be without. We have m equals 2e over v squared, and they want us to solve this for e, for the capital E there. The first thing we have to do is multiply both sides by v squared. So we'll have mv squared equals 2e because these v squareds will cancel out. And then we would divide both sides by 2, or you can think of that as multiplying by 1/2. It doesn't make any difference. You'll get the same math out of that. So 1/2 mv squared, or because of the way this problem came, the format itself showed that they wanted this to be division, so we would probably write our answer as mv squared over 2 equals e for number 30. So like I said, that's a good skill to have when you're working with a formula. You want to be able to manipulate it for the situation that you have, the data that you have collected. 33, getting more complicated here. 1 over c minus c over a squared minus b squared equals 0. And we're supposed to solve that for c. Well, here's what I'm going to do. Since there's a 0 over on the other side, I would much prefer to add that c over a squared minus b squared to both sides and make this into a proportion and have 1 over c equals c over a squared minus b squared, because you solve proportions by cross multiplying. So this would give us c squared equals 1 times a squared minus b squared, which is just a squared minus b squared. And then we would take the square root, so c would equal plus or minus the square root of a squared minus b squared. So much easier to work with proportions. Obviously that's not the only way to do that problem, but that definitely would be the easiest way to do that problem. Which brings us to 35, which is already a proportion. Q over m equals 2v over capital B squared r squared. And we're supposed to solve this for b. So we can't solve for b where it is anyway since it's in the denominator. So why not cross multiply and see what happens? So q b squared r squared will equal m times 2v. Now, just kind of rearranging this so that it's a little bit nicer would be b squared q r squared equals 2mv. We can do that because multiplication is commutative. 3 times 4 is the same thing as 4 times 3. Now, the next thing would be to get that b all by itself. Well, first we have to get rid of the q and the r squared, and that means we're going to have to divide by qr squared. And that will give us b squared equals 2mv over qr squared. Last step, we need our square root. So let's take the square root of both sides. And that, of course, means positive and negative. And the book at this point says, you know what, just leave it like that, which is probably a good idea because the data that you have would usually go in for these variables anyway, and it would be easier to punch it in than to try to rationalize our denominator in this one. All right, now for the fun. Number 49 and 50 here. So, lots going on in this problem, but it all comes down to, can I find my LCD? If I can find my LCD, then I can solve this. So, I see x squared minus 7x plus 12 and realize no common monomial factor, not a perfect square trinomial, but are there two numbers that multiply to positive 12 and add to negative 7? Absolutely. Negative 4 and negative 3. Next up, 2 over 3 minus x. Now I'm suspicious of that one because it's backwards. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull out a negative 1 and I'm going to reverse the signs. Remember, if you look at that and you're thinking, does that really equal 3 minus x? Well, negative 1 times x would give you negative x, and negative 1 times 3 would give you 3. And then we have 5 over x minus 4. That one's pretty good to go. So now I'm thinking LCD. Everything has to be there and to its highest power. I will have to have an x minus 3. I will have to have an x minus 4. And the negative 1, we don't necessarily have to bring that in as part of our denominator. What we can do with that is we can say, you know what? I think I'm going to take 2 and I'm going to divide it by negative 1. And since this was subtraction, let's do this. We'll change that to adding a negative, and then a negative and a negative will make this a positive. And now that negative 1 is out of my denominator. It's out of the picture. I don't need to worry about it at all, which is a good, safe way to do this. And then I notice the x minus 3 and the x minus 4 are already a part of my other fractions. I shouldn't make that look like an x though, so give me a second here to clean that up. So here's what we did. We moved that upstairs into the numerator. All right, that means I have to multiply all of these terms by the quantity x minus 3 times the quantity x minus 4. And we'll watch all the canceling happen. So x minus 3's are gone, x minus 4's are gone, we get a 5. X minus 3's are gone, and we have 2 times the quantity x minus 4, which will be 2x minus 8. And then the x minus 4's will be gone on the other side, and we will get 5x minus 15. Now let's combine some like terms. We have 2x minus 3 equals 5x minus 15. And then let's go ahead and move our x's together by subtracting 2x from both sides. And we'll have negative 3 equals 3x minus 15. Let's add 15. And we have 12 equals 3x. Divide by 3. And there we have it. X equals 4. And again, checkable. So we have to check it. And we go back up and we realize, wait a minute, our denominators had x minus 4 in it. If I put a 4 back into that equation, I'm going to be dividing by 0. It didn't work. And if it doesn't work, and that was the only solution we had, there is no solution. It isn't going to happen. It was in our denominator, and remember, that's one of our restrictions. We cannot put anything in there that is going to make us divide by 0. That is undefined. All right, that was a lot of work for no solution, wasn't it? Let's go back up now. Good work, though. Really fun math manipulation that we're getting into here. I mean, we've got some skills when we get to this point. So let's take a peek at number 50. Number 50, we have 10, and then I noticed my denominator, I definitely could pull a 2 out of that. And then I have 7y plus 8, and I notice y squared minus 16, no common monomial factor, but definitely a difference of 2 squares. And then over on the right-hand side, I have negative 8, and then a 2 would definitely be factored out of that. Now, again, I say, you know what, I'm going to take care of this little 2 right here so that I don't have to worry about that in my LCD. I'm just going to reduce that right now and make that a 5. And in the back, I have a 2 here and I have a negative 8. So I'm just going to have that be a negative 4. And so that we don't lose track of anything, I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it with those changes made to it. And while I'm at it, I'm going to change this subtraction to adding a negative. So it'll be a negative 7y minus 8. Again, there's always that risk that you're going to miss that if you don't change that to adding a negative. All right. Why take those numbers out of there? Easier LCD. That's what we want. I mean, the LCD is really what takes care of everything that we need here. So now we notice our LCD is just going to be y plus 4 and y minus 4. So every one of these terms needs to be multiplied by y minus 4 and y plus 4, or vice versa. All right, I'm going to rewrite this. Leave some space for some work here. And I'm going to change this to adding a negative so we don't make that most common mistake in mathematics, which is a negative mistake. All right, LCDs. Y plus 4 times y minus 4. Each and every one of these is going to get y plus 4 and y minus 4. And let's see what's going to cancel out here. Y plus 4 is gone. So we have 5y minus 20 by distributing. Y minus 4 and y plus 4 are gone in this one. So we have plus negative 7y minus 8. Y minus 4 is gone here, and we will have a negative 4y minus 16. Let's combine some like terms over here, and we'll have negative 2y minus 28 equals negative 4y minus 16. And then we will add 4y to both sides, and we will get 2y minus 28 equals negative 16. And then we'll go ahead and add 28 to both sides, and 2y will equal 12. Divide both sides by 2, and we have y equals 6. Now, we absolutely want to go back and check to see that that's going to be okay in our denominator on this one. And since 4 and negative 4 would have been our restrictions for this, 6 is perfectly fine. And again, you could go through and check it the entire way, and y equals 6 will work. And that is it for this assignment.